Okay, and welcome to the Compadre System. I'm Jake Berry along with Clay Williams. How you doing, Clay?
Doing great. How about yourself, Jake?
I'm okay. I'm tired. It's been a long day, but we're starting a little bit late. I had to run around town, but some interesting things have been going on in the world of football in the RGV. Clay, haven't there been?
Yeah, definitely has been a little strangeness going on, but yeah, let's go ahead and talk about it. Hold on one second. Let me post this to the Clay Williams RGV page, and also let everybody know that they can check it out on the Compadre System. It has its own Facebook page as well. What do we got here? Episode 5?
Yeah, we're at 5 right
All
now.
right.
Yeah.
Hey, not bad. Not bad. But I guess the easiest thing to start with is, how about that? Brownsville has an athletic director, a non-interim athletic director for the first time in, since 2015?
Yeah.
Since Mark Guest stepped down. Well, no, it hasn't been that long. Okay. Mark Guest stepped down 2 years ago. All right, so 2016. Mark Guest stepped down from Brownsville ISD's AD, took the Brownsville Hannah job because coaching is what he loved. It's what he wanted to do. And since then, Tom Chavez has been the interim athletic director while still being the head football coach and athletic coordinator at Brownsville Rivera, which made no sense. But what they told me then was that Brownsville ISD was in a hiring freeze, and so they couldn't hire a new AD. Well, apparently that has changed, and now we've got a new AD, and I don't think it's anyone anybody expected. Gilbert Leal is the new athletic director at Brownsville ISD. Of course, maybe most well-known for being the quarterback for the Harlingen Cardinals back in the late 80s. Went to UTEP, played quarterback there, went to Sul Ross after UTEP. And from there, just like all great Harlingen Cardinals do, he rejoins the team to become a coach. Isn't that what they all do? And he was the quarterback coach for like 4 or 5 years at Harlingen. He was the offensive coordinator from like 2000 to 2004 under Randy Creeders, and then he was hired at Mercedes to be their head coach. Mercedes was awful back then. I don't know if people remember, but they hadn't been to the playoffs in almost 10 years. And then Gilbert Leal comes, and it takes him 1 year, and boom, they're going to the playoffs 3 straight years. Bang, 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 06, 07, 08. That raised up his profile to where he could go be the head coach at Harlingen South, which was he took over after
Alan Cherry.
Alan Cherry, yeah, absolutely. And then it went all downhill because Leal only won 2 games in 2.5 seasons at Harlingen South and was out of coaching for about a year, I think, until he resurfaced with Dan Gomez at San Benito becoming their offensive coordinator. The year Dan Gomez came to be the head coach, Gilbert Leal joined as his offensive coordinator. And from there, it was huge. That first year, San Benito came back from 22 points down to win the Battle of the Arroyo. And, that was a famous Battle of the Arroyo game for many ridiculous reasons. But
Are you freaking serious? Are you freaking serious?
It was quite a game, but now Gilbert Leal is the athletic director at Brownsville at ISD. He's in charge of like 6 schools now and all the middle schools and everything over there. I'm happy for him. He's a great guy and a great offensive coordinator, a quarterback whisperer. Every quarterback who's ever worked with him has gotten better and become more efficient. But are you surprised by this? I mean, doesn't he seem, I don't know, are ADs supposed to be older guys? Leal seems still young to me. It's hard for me to believe that he wouldn't want to go back and be a head coach again after the way things ended at Harlingen South.
Well, that's the thing with Brownsville. You never know how long the position is going to last. In the last few years, Brownsville has done it right. Brownsville's done it right, and they've had they've given coaches room to grow. Case in point, you look at Jason Starkey when he was at Lopez. They didn't fare too well, and then they started to kick it in gear the last few years. But when you give coaches time to grow, they can do just about anything. ADs, they're at their position. They really are just supposed to nurture and get good coaches into the programs, and if he can do that, yeah, I think he'll be fine. Yes, it's one of those positions, and I look at it, you can pretty much kiss your chances at that Friday night, that fever that you have, that you lose that.
Mm-hmm.
You lose that when you become the AD.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's true, and I can't help but wonder. He's always so passionate, and always so vibrant there on the sidelines. It's going to be weird to see him, basically, taking a little bit of a back seat. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's a huge job. It's a big job. You could say it's the biggest job when it comes to high school sports in the Valley. There's no other school district that has 6 different high schools under it just for sports. So, I mean, it's an amazingly big job, and I'm happy for him. I'm glad he's going for it. But I know that Mark Guess, when he got that job, he immediately wanted to go back to the sidelines. When he came to Brownsville, he came as the very first head coach for Brownsville veterans. And they came to him and they said, "We need an AD. Can you be our AD?" And so he went and he became the AD, and he almost immediately regretted it. Hated not being on the sidelines coaching, hated not being in the locker room with the guys. And so as soon as he could, he got back, and you've seen what he's done at Brownsville. Hannah, I can't help but wonder that a great coach like Gilbert Leal might have the same thing happen. But like I say, it's a huge job. It's the biggest job in the Valley.
I remember when Don Engelman left coaching at Harlingen South,
Mm-hmm.
I remember her telling me, the kids are going to forget about me. And that's the one thing, when you leave coaching, I left teaching and stuff like that, and coaching, they forget about you. You got about 2 years, and then, you're that other guy. So that's the one thing. When you become the AD, it's almost like, and I hate to say it, if you're not at a small school or a small town where
Mm-hmm.
you're the AD / football coach, you're pretty much, I don't want to say an afterthought. That's not the right word, but you're not in the limelight like everybody else. So
Mm-hmm.
you have to be prepared for that. So that's one of those things. Come Friday night, he'll be on the sideline, but he'll be checking credentials and making sure everything's in order.
Listen, athletic directors, they get paid more money, but they deserve it because they get all of the headaches and none of the great camaraderie they get with the kids, of the feeling of making a kid better out on the field. ADs don't get to do that. They deal with all the coaches, and they have to deal with so much every day from every single sport that they cover from all 6 of those schools in Brownsville. Congratulations to Gilbert Leal. It is a big, huge job. I have no doubt that he can do it. I think he'll be a great AD down there. It's just a surprise to me that you had to think some head coaching jobs were coming his way after the job he's done with San Benito the last 4 years, right?
Yeah, I wonder, do you want to wait for that? I'm not sure how close he is to his 80 years, in teaching. If your age plus your years experience equals 80, you can retire. So, he maybe wanted to get those top 3 years, bump those up for his retirement. But, either way, I don't know. Best of luck over there. He's going to have to fill the Lopez job, which they tabled.
Yeah, okay, let's get to that, because why would you table this decision? Lopez has been without a coach since Valentine's Day, right? I think that's when Coach Starkey, Coach Jason Starkey, resigned to take a job out of teaching and out of coaching. And, bless him for doing that. And, he wanted to go a different direction. He did such great things at Lopez, but now the Lobos have been, a little bit rudderless since, for 3 months, basically. And it's obvious to me that the Brownsville ISD School Board didn't like any of the options that they were given to coach at Brownsville Lopez. That has to be either that, or they wanted their brand new athletic director, Gilbert Leal, to have a say in it. But that's usually Brownsville ISD School Board members don't want anybody having a say in anything unless they're Brownsville School Board members. And sometimes not even then. So, I don't think they want anybody else to have a say in it. I just don't think they like the choices they were presented. And I think they came out and said it in discussion that they wanted their search committee and their superintendent to look more for internal candidates. And you say, wow, Jake and Clay, you guys are on a webcast called the Compadre System. Does this reek of the Compadre System? And I can say, yeah, maybe you want an internal candidate, but then again, let's not forget that's how they got Jason Starkey at Lopez in the first place. He was an internal candidate. He was on Mike Sanchez's, coaching staff whenever Sanchez left to go up to DFW, and that's how he became in charge of Lopez and ended up taking Lopez to the playoffs for the first time in, what did we figure, almost 20 years? What was it? It was like 17, 18 years.
Yeah, and then back to back. So
yeah, internal candidates, not always bad, but you just wonder what names they were given the Brownsville ISD School Board when it comes to candidates for the Lopez head coaching job. I think you tweeted today about one of them.
Did I? Oh, yeah. Forgot all about that. Wait, who did I tweet about? I tweet a lot. I don't tweet a lot, but I forget quite
the mad
quite
tweeter.
Easily.
Just getting out there on social media. Just put it out there and forget about you. You said that Steve Mauderkeem, the former PSJA head coach, was a candidate for the job.
Okay, I'm going to be honest with you. I talked to one of the candidates, and one of the candidates said that that he thought Steve was going to get it. So,
okay.
So when you got one of the,
and he might have been.
He might
have been the one name that they presented.
Yeah, and the thing about Steve's got a good track record. Rio Hondo, then he was at PSJ Memorial, and then PSJA. So. At PSJ Memorial as the OC, I believe, and then at PSJA as the head coach. And he took over for Lucero after, that wonderful pickup. He did a good job. If he doesn't get was he at Lopez this year?
Is that right?
Yeah, I believe so. I believe he's at Lopez.
That's an internal candidate then.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I know he and Starkey were close because, the Lopez and PSJ scrimmaged each other every year that those two were coaching at those
yes, he was.
Places.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. He was. All right.
Yeah.
So, there's an internal candidate then. All right, then I'm confused.
Yeah. But here's my thing. I really think the Lopez job is probably a better job than PI right now, because I hear that is one of the issues that some of the candidates are having, is that leadership at PI has fallen off. That's from what I'm gathered. And yes, I have talked to a couple people that have thought about putting their name into the pot at PI, but they pulled their name out. So Lopez might be the job that everybody wants. I'm hearing that PI is not the job that we once thought it was.
Wow, who'd have thunk it? Football power, where you can be not only the head football coach, but also the athletic director, and you're used to going to the playoffs every year, versus a Brownsville Lopez job that 3 years ago
nobody wanted.
Been to the playoff. Nobody wanted that job.
That was the job you went to just to get your top 3 years up,
Exactly. That's crazy. That is crazy. All right, that's enough high school football news for right now, unless you got something else.
No, I can't release the stuff I know yet. So.
Oh goodness! All right.
Yeah,
I've got. Tell us. He'd have to kill us.
I've got dirt, but I can't do anything yet.
Hey, let's talk NBA. Did you watch the game tonight?
I watched the majority of it. Yeah, when I wasn't working. Yeah, I saw it. I saw the Celtics come back. Let me just tell you this right now. We talked about this last week. Jordan is way better than LeBron. So let's just say that much. And you see that with a team like the Celtics with nobody but they have players, but they're playing with just great coaching and teamwork, team defense, and you got to give it up to the Celtics for that.
Okay, yeah, but you can't blame LeBron for it, can you? He's had this team around him for what, 2 months? And what, you got Tyronn Lue as your coach?
Hey, you know what?
That's not enough time.
Tyronn Lue is good.
I'm not saying Tyronn Lue isn't a good coach.
I'm telling you he's horrible.
Okay.
I'm telling you that he is just the guy that holds the towel for LeBron and lets LeBron run the show. I think what he did to David Blatt when David Blatt was there was blasphemous. It was treason. He basically cut his legs out trying to call timeouts for Blatt, and not letting Blatt actually coach the team the way he should have been able to coach the team. Having said that, LeBron has walked over the coaches that he's had before, so it's not like
much like Allen Iverson walked over Tyronn Lue once upon a time.
Yes, so I don't feel bad for Tyronn Lue because I thought what he did to David Blatt was pretty horrible. But look, I think that LeBron and his castmates aren't that bad. I mean, we picked the Cavs to beat Boston, last week, and And what you see is that they're getting beat by a total team effort rather than LeBron trying to go off like he did against Toronto.
What does this mean that like a coach like Brad Stevens can take a team with Terry Rozier and Marcus Smart and, young guys like
Morris,
Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown?
Think about how bad Morris was as far as reputation-wise.
Marcus Morris?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He was a malcontent. He was one of those guys nobody wanted on their team. He made a big fuss whenever he and his twin weren't on the same team for a while, and now he's an integral part of a team that looks like they're on their way to the NBA Finals. Now let's hold on the horses for 1 second. All Boston did was hold serve, which is what they were supposed to do. You're supposed to win your first 2 games.
Yeah, they're not the Rockets.
There's always there's always a chance that LeBron's going to have a couple of LeBron games and this is going to be a series again. But I'm extremely interested in what I'm seeing with the Celtics. This Celtics team is a lot of fun to watch. They outscored the Cavs tonight 59-39 in the second half.
Yeah.
59-39. Talk about your halftime adjustments. But Brad Stevens fed him the Wheaties in the locker room.
Like, I thought when he left Butler that was a bad move because I thought what he had built at Butler or what he had, formulated there, getting Gordon Hayward and Mack and all these guys that they had there. I thought what he did was great. And I was like, why are you leaving, especially for the Celtics? And then you see how his work ethic translated to the NBA game. And guys bought into it. And, you see Greg Popovich, who loves watching his inbound plays, he's masterful. And you have to give it up to him. And like right now, I'm watching LeBron and Kevin Love laughing on after a game. And look, I mean, as a guy who would never call himself a old school basketball fan, but I do like the mentality of old school basketball where you didn't laugh after a game. Yeah. You just got you just lost 2 games. You got your butt handed to you the first game. Don't go in and laugh during this thing. I would be steaming mad.
No, you're supposed to cross your arms and go, both teams played hard, my man. Both teams played hard. Yeah. Hey, are you surprised that none of the coaches in the NBA voted for Brad Stevens for Coach of the Year?
Yeah, that's pretty bad. I mean, but in his defense, he probably doesn't want that because he probably would have got fired too. Dwayne Casey gets Coach of the Year and then gets fired the next day. So it's.
I wonder what that's. Hey, we've got a guy we know up there who was with Dwayne Casey and who was instrumental in turning that offense around from where it was stodgy and staid the last couple of years into what was a lot more fun to watch offense for the Raptors. And that's former Vipers coach Nick Nurse, who's an assistant up there and who a lot of people say really helped Dwayne Casey turn that offense around. I'm just wondering what this is going to do for the former Vipers coach.
Well, I think, it has to bode well for him. I don't know if he's been in the league long enough, in their eyes to warrant a head coaching job. But, you think about it, look at the Pelicans. The Pelicans work great, and they brought in I can't remember his name now, the former Viper coach.
What?
No, Viper, what's his name now? I can't remember. He was the one that won
talking about Chris Finch?
Chris Finch, yeah.
Chris Finch.
He was with the Pelicans, and he did a great job with the Pelicans, getting that offense going. So there's a lot of talent. It's hard, unless you're related to somebody in the NBA, it's hard to get a job, Bickerstaff. So it's hard. It's hard to really get into that, into those positions now.
Well, there's always the chance that the Raptors go down to their G League affiliate. Jerry Stackhouse has proven that he can coach the heck out of a team or two in that league, and he would be a big splash coach who I think they would love to have.
Yeah.
Just down the road in Mississauga. That's not that far.
Yeah. But speaking, by the way, going back to the Vipers and their mother team, the Rockets, what do you think about that game?
I think they're going to need to do some changes. I think D'Antoni is going to need to change up some things. He's going to need to change up some lineups. And, Harden's not going to be able to do it all himself. He's going to need a lot more help, and they're going to need to bust out guys. They're going to need to get guys like Ariza more open. They're going to need to, hit a fast break every now and then. They didn't have, any fast break. They were outscored by double digits in fast breaks by the Warriors, the night before last. But then it might not make any difference. This Warriors team just might be too darn good, even for a team with an MVP and Chris Paul on it. It still might not be enough. Charles Barkley said last night that the series is over. You agree?
I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think they have a third option. I'm not a big Chris Paul fan because I don't think he shoots the three well enough to really be a threat. But they don't really have that third option. Clint Capella, I love him because I loved him when he was down here. He was a nice guy, but offensively he brings nothing to the table on the block. He can't do anything other than catch a lob from Harden. And Trevor Ariza, great player, but he doesn't do. He's a good player. But he doesn't do anything great. He doesn't shoot the three well. Doesn't really take it to the rack well. He's just a very good, solid player. And Ryan Anderson, we haven't seen him since.
Where'd Ryan Anderson go? He's disappeared.
Yeah, they don't want another shooter. So you would think they put him at the 4 and let him space the court, but they're not really doing that.
No, they're not unless they make some big changes. If they go down 0-2 at home, it's church and it's over, and it's over big time. Big time. Hey, softball playoffs.
Yeah, well, one question.
Move to it.
Got a question on Facebook. Okay. Is there a possibility of softball? Having two teams in the Region 4 final for softball?
Yeah, there's a great chance, and we're going to talk about it right now because the only two teams we've got left, if they win their series, they're going to play each other, and we're guaranteed another Valley team in the state Final Four. And it's time to start talking about Edinburgh Vela and what they're doing because, it's been nothing short of amazing. For so many years, EHS was the softball powerhouse in that district, in that town, in that school district. And what Vela has done this year has been fantastic. They're 32-6, Jake. 32-6 under John Maples this season. The SaberCats are amazing. They're going to take on San Antonio Warren in the best of 3 games series, and it's in Kingsville. So I think they've got as good a chance as anybody. They've already beaten Weslaco and Harlingen South in the playoffs. So, how much tougher is it going to get than that? Obviously San Antonio teams have good talent, but Vela's got an ace pitcher who's going Division I. So you can easily say that they can be favored over Warren in a best-of-3 series at Kingsville.
Yeah, and with softball, really, if you have consistent defense, you can, you have a great pitcher, and timely hitting. You know, a lot of people think you got to have great hitting. No, it's just timely hitting. You got to be able to get on base and get those players home, because a lot of people have that one great hitter. But when it comes to the playoffs and it comes to this level of softball, you got to have a consistent amount of bats that can get you hits when you need them.
Yeah. And you got to have an ace. And that's one thing that both of these teams have. When you talk about Edinburgh Vela, you're talking about Naomi Reyes, who's heading to Texas Southern. When you talk about San Benito, the other Valley team that we've got in the playoffs, you're talking about Nana Carrizales. These are aces. These are people that the coaches will send up to the mound every single time, and they're consistent in what they can do. To tell the truth, San Benito's got a tougher test than Vela does. I mean, not that Warren is going to be easy, but they've got Warren in a best of three, and it's one-on-one. It's one game. It's sitting on Friday night between San Benito and New Braunfels Canyon. And New Braunfels Canyon has been ranked in the top 5 of the state all year long. This is going to be a great game. You know, this shows the kind of faith that Denise Lira has in her ace in Carrizales, and the fact that she just wants a one-gamer. And it's in Sinton. And that's the other good thing about this, is that neither one of our teams are having to go all the way up to San Antonio to play. We're playing at Central Field, so that's good as well.
I have to imagine you get to this level, and when you play against the teams from up north, for the girls down here, it's got to feel like Christmas, because the strike zone just gets so much bigger because those girls are taller. The strike zone just opens up. And I have to imagine, because, you know, you're used to pitching against girls down here that are maybe 5'4", 5, you know, you might have a 5'6" girl that they consider tall down here. You know, that's, you know, then you go and play these teams from San Antonio or up north, and all of a sudden, you know, they're 5'9". You know, that strike zone just opens up for you. I mean, of course, you know, so does the power, but at the same time, the strike zone.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is that all, you know, our girls down here might be a little smaller on the average, but their power numbers are just as good as anybody who's from upstate. I would love to see Vela versus San Benito with the winner going to state. That would be fantastic. And how about what Denise Lira has done in her first year as the head coach at San Benito? That's extremely impressive.
Yeah, and you know, a lot of people think that, you know, it's easy taking over, and, you know, just you should be able to keep winning, but it's hard because, you know, they've had some losses at the head coaching position where they've had, you know, you have to keep those kids focused, because, you know, they don't know what to expect. You know, they've already had 2 coaches leave them. You know, is there going to be a third? You know, you have to reassure them. You know, and it's hard coming in like this.
I'm telling you, if there's one way that San Benito excels, is having a one high school school district. It's in football and it's in softball. Those are the 2 where you see it the most, I think. I definitely think.
I think so too. So
Dallas Cowboys news.
Oh God.
Hey man, you gotta love it. You know, it's only a few months until the season. Hey, the Cowboys do this, right? This is what Jerry Jones loves. He doesn't care so much if he wins Super Bowls. He just wants to be in the news every day so that his team keeps up, you know, keeps selling, you know, T-shirts and jerseys and, you know, little football helmets and like that. And that, you got to think that All or Nothing, that series on Amazon was just genius. Yes, it showed him and all of his warts, and it shows, you know, that his football coach cusses very awkwardly, and it shows that Des Bryant didn't listen to any of his coaches, and it showed that, you know, Zeke Elliott might not be the smartest guy in the world, but it just keeps the conversation going. It keeps the conversation going, and now Jerry's got another alum who's going to be up in the booth, who's going to be, you know, it's another Cowboy. Tell me that it doesn't help the Dallas Cowboys that Tony Romo and Jason Witten are going to be doing national games. It helps the Cowboys, even if they're not doing play-by-play for, you know, for the Cowboys at that time. They could be doing a Cardinals-Raiders game, whatever. And if you got Jason Witten and or Tony Romo on the mic and or Daryl Johnston and or Troy Aikman, it just keeps the Cowboys in the front of the mind. It's genius. Were you surprised that Jason Witten decided to go to the Monday Night Football booth?
Well, a lot of people had talked about him going to Tennessee and to coach there. So I thought that he was going to go into the coaching realm, but it's smarter for these players to just go into the booth because you don't have to do half the stuff you have to do as a coach, and it's pretty simple. You show up early, you talk to all these coaches, you sound like a genius on Sundays or Mondays, whatever you're going to be on. I look at Tony Romo. All of a sudden, he was able to dissect plays and stuff. And he could never do that as a player. There's a thing on Facebook that all the stuff he was talking about, they had video of him doing the same kind of messed up plays that he was critiquing on TV. So
yeah, it's incredible.
Everybody's a genius on TV.
I don't think I was ever mistaken for a genius as many years as I was on TV. But,
yeah.
Today Jason Witten, did one of his first big, interviews post Cowboys after the retirement. What was that, last week, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, 2
But
weeks.
he talked to Adam Schefter today, and Adam Schefter asked him where he thought Dez Bryant would go. And Witten said, look, I don't have any inside information. I haven't talked to Dez, but you'd be a fool if he didn't go play for an experienced quarterback, especially a quarterback who's maybe won a Super Bowl already and who knows what it takes, a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers at Green Bay, Drew Brees at New Orleans. He thinks that Dez Bryant would make a great target for a quarterback who's already in control, who's a veteran, who needs weapons, but you're not going to lose the locker room to him just because he's so passionate, as they like to say. I mean, you can't put him with a young quarterback, right? It's not like Dez Bryant could go play with Derek Carr in Oakland or Jimmy Garoppolo in San Francisco. These guys are young and they don't know how to control diva wide receivers, and Dez Bryant is a diva wide receiver.
I see him playing with like a Tom Brady, like Randy Moss did, where somebody that has more alpha personality than he does. Because I don't see him with New Orleans because they like their little fast receivers, and Dez is more of a big play receiver.
Right.
I can't really see him there. It would have been cool to see him with the Giants just because, him and Beckham, and then with a good running attack. Yeah, that would be really cool.
That would have been cool. The Giants, however, said, that they're not interested.
Yeah.
It's funny because, Witten said that he thought he'd work well with Aaron Rodgers. Dez came out the day he left, the day he got released, after the meeting with Jerry, and he said, no, I could never play for the Packers because there's too many bad memories. I got beat by the Packers too many times, and I caught that ball against the Packers, and they called it they didn't call it a catch. He says that there's too many bad memories, but I got to wonder, when it comes down to the money, you got to have a short memory, I think.
Yeah, I think when he gets his choices and they're few and far between, he'll take Green Bay. So, but yeah. Anyways, I didn't get to see it, but I got the updates on my phone. The NBA draft happened.
Yeah, the NBA draft happened, and let's see, for the how many times now? The Suns get the first pick.
Pahonix, right? Yeah.
The Suns get the first pick. The Mavericks have like a 50% chance of moving up and getting in a top 3 spot, and yet they fall down to 5. Do you know that the Mavericks have been in the lottery 12 times since 1990. Do you know how many times they've ever moved up from their favored position?
Tell me.
Big fat 0.
Wow.
Never once in 12 times in the lottery have the Mavericks ever improved their lot. Have they ever jumped up the way so many other teams do, the way Cleveland did 2 years in a row a couple of years ago, and they got Kyrie? Never once. The Mavericks always end up falling down and either staying exactly where they're supposed to stay according to the probabilities or going lower than they're supposed to according to the probabilities. I think tonight they were supposed to be fourth and they ended up fifth. I just feel bad for the Mavericks. I really do.
Well, it's what I would like to see is I'm a Duke fan. I like to see Bagley. I hope Bagley falls, and he falls to a good team.
Okay.
Because I
would think he will.
Yeah, they have him slotted at 4 or 5. So
4.
Yeah.
Really? What they got? So they figured Doncic or Ayton will go 1 and 2, right?
Yep. And then the kid from Michigan State, Jalen Jackson whatever his name is.
Jaren Jackson. Really? They've got him going ahead of Bagley. Mm-hmm. I don't know that I'd do that. I think if I were the third pick, and I think I would go with Bagley. I think if I was the third pick, I think I'd take him over Jaren Jackson.
I think Bagley is the next Tim Duncan as far as very smooth, consistent player that can he's I think he's NBA ready already. So,
yeah, I do too.
But I would hate to see him go to the Grizzlies because then he'd play with Marc Gasol, and that'd be a bad combination. Two bigs in the NBA.
That number 3 pick belongs, of course, to the Atlanta Hawks.
Yeah.
Who tonight were represented by one of their owners. Did you know that the actress Jami Gertz is an owner of the Atlanta Hawks? Apparently she and her husband are partial owners of the Atlanta Hawks. All right, youngins. You don't know who Jami Gertz is, but she was in The Lost Boys. She was in Twister. She was the
geeky girl
wife. Who got tossed out in Twister. She was in tons of stuff. She was in an 80s TV show called Square Pegs that, old people like me still remember. I mean, Jami Gertz, I haven't seen her in years, and now all of a sudden she ends up on the NBA draft tonight. I thought I was like looking at an alternate universe or something.
And Little Penny. Lil Penny, who was really Chris Rock back in the day. But, it was. It didn't work for either team. It didn't help their chances, or Orlando or Atlanta. But
nope.
But if she's an owner, that makes sense for a lot of the moves that they've made. So.
Yeah, including getting rid of Coach Bud.
Yeah, which was and he's going to wind up probably with in a good fit Milwaukee.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Can you imagine getting fired by the Hawks and getting instead to coach the Greek Freak?
I know.
Talk about falling upwards.
Winner. Yeah. All right.
Doncic. Hold on. Yeah. Real quick. Doncic or Ayton? Who do you take? Big man from Arizona, or do you take the Euro who's setting the world on fire?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know if you can go with the Euro over Ayton. Ayton, I mean, he already made his $100,000 before he got to college. He wants to make more money when he gets to the pros. But no, I think you take him. I don't know though. I just don't. Ayton might be a bust. I look at him. I think Michael Olowokandi. I don't know if you can really put. I don't know if you really can.
Greg Oden.
Yes.
Yep.
I don't think he has. I saw him hit a couple threes this year, but I mean they flopped in the NCAA tournament. So I don't know if I really think that he's as great as what everybody thinks he's going to be.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. Hey, let's finish up one more segment, and let's go to the high school baseball playoffs in the Rio Grande Valley. I talked about it last week. The last 8 teams in Class 6A were like the number 1 and number 2 teams from each of the 4 districts. And now it's chalk. The last 4 teams in any classification from the Rio Grande Valley or Laredo are the 4 district champions. Mm-hmm. You've got McAllen taking on Laredo Alexander. Both of those teams won their respective districts. And then the other one, you've got Los Fresnos taking on Edinburgh Vela. Both of those teams were district champs as well. And, we talked about McAllen a lot last week. We'll talk about them in a little bit as well. But Los Fresnos versus Vela is a very interesting it's a very interesting kind of matchup because Vela has been really dominant this year. They've got 4 players who have over 30 RBI this year. They've got 3 great pitchers, with only 1 loss and over 5 wins apiece. They've even got a closer. They've got a guy who comes in and gets saves. So and then when you look at the records, Los Fresnos lost some games, and they lost some games in district, and they lost, they had to win 2 out of 3. They won, they lost 1 game in each of their last 2 series. They had to win 2 in a row against Mission to get to this point, whereas Vela sweep all the way into this round of the playoffs. They've taken a couple of different roads to get in here.
And this is where you start to look at it. Have they played too many games that already, to get to this point? I mean, they're going to play the same amount of games, but I'm talking about the, tough games. Or
it's a different amount of games. It definitely is. I mean, Los Fresnos has played 6 games so far in the playoffs, and Edinburgh Vela has played 4.
Yeah.
I mean, those two games can make a big difference.
Yeah, and I wonder this too. Does it help them that they have this much experience? Because if it gets tight against Vela, will Vela choke? And you have to imagine Vela is the favorite in this one. So
yeah, you do.
So do those games playing tough teams, playing at long series, does that benefit Los Fresnos or does it make them tired? So we'll find out. But it is.
At it either way.
You look at it; it's baseball too. They have, they're not playing like in basketball where you play, Friday and you have to play Tuesday or Monday. You have a whole week. So
yeah. No, there's definitely 2 ways you can talk about it, and those are the exact 2 ways. You can either say Los Fresnos had to fight harder to get here, so they'll fight harder once they get in there, and Vela's had an easier time, and so they haven't had to fight yet. Or you can look at it as Los Fresnos isn't dominant, and they've had to scratch their way in, and now they're tired, and Vela, meanwhile, is fresh as a daisy from sweeping both of their series. Either way you look at it, you can kind of apply either one of those talking points to whichever way that series comes out this weekend. And then the other series, here we go. McAllen versus Laredo Alexander.
The Bulldogs.
The Bulldogs and the Bulldogs. I guarantee the Bulldogs will advance. There you have it.
That's deep.
Yeah, I thought you'd like that. But, man, what about the performance by Mackay's Nate Quintanilla against PSJA? Have you ever seen anything like that? That was incredible.
No, if you're gonna show up, you show up like that, because that's things of movies,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I heard, I saw some of the highlights, and all I could hear in my head was the natural theme. Da-da, da-da-da-da. He's making plays. He's saving, go-ahead runs from crossing the plate. He's hitting 2 home runs, and then he's coming on to pitch at the end of the game. It's like, you might as well have him selling popcorn up in the stands as well if you're going to have him doing everything. It's incredible, but that's what Mackay has. They've got confident players who know that they can come through in the clutch. And all the other teammates know that, if I can't get it, one of my teammates is going to back me up because they're all so talented. And, 2 Division I pitchers, it's tough to argue with. But once again, McAllen has had trouble with Laredo teams in the past. But did they get over that hump when they beat Laredo United in the first round?
Yeah, but that was a 1 playing a 4. So, this is a little bit different. You're playing against a team that was the tops of their district. So, you look at it and it has to feel good if you're Mackay that somebody other than Nixon or
Garcia,
yeah, came to play because and if you're Alexander, you have to sit there and go, oh my God, we have one more guy we have to scout. So I will tell you this: I doubt he's going to get those balls that were thrown to him by PSJA. Alexander's going to watch that. They're going to they'll be ready.
They'll be a lot more careful. Interesting that the game is all games are being played at Roma.
Yeah.
It's not like there's any rain in the forecast, but if there was, you wouldn't have to worry about it. Roma's got the turf infield, of course. Mm-hmm. Really nice baseball stadium. It's going to be a great place to watch a great playoff series. And I told you about this 2 weeks ago about how the bracket's set up, and it's still going like chalk. Whoever wins between McAllen and Alexander will play the winner between the number 2 team in the state and the number 5 team in the state. We're talking about San Antonio Reagan, ranked number 2 by the High School Baseball Coaches Association, taking on number 5 in the state, Lake Travis. You know, so some of those polls have Mac High number 1. The High School Baseball Coaches Association has Mac High coming in 6th in the state, right behind Lake Travis. But, you know, if Mac High can sweep this and get out without having to, you know, use a whole lot of pitching and get some rest, get an extra day of rest, because you know that Reagan Lake Travis series is going to be a knockdown drag out.
Oh, yeah.
So if you can get rid of Alexander, not like Alexander's easy, but if you can get rid of Alexander, get pitching in there right, get him out of there, get an extra day of rest, that could pay dividends come next week if Mac High makes it to the regional finals.
Yeah, I think so too. I think you're right on that one. I think that this series against Alexander is really going to come down to minimizing runs because, you know, in the second game for Mac High in both their series, they've given up some runs.
That's right. Yeah, double digits in both, right?
Yeah.
Or
so
close to, yeah.
Yeah. So, and you know, that's not always just pitching. You know, that's true. You know, defense. You know, you got to hold guys on base. You know, we'll see what happens. You know, if Mac High can minimize the runs in the second game, I think they have a chance to sweep.
Yeah. All right, that's it, man. That is another edition of the Compadre System. Thank you so much for joining us again.
See ya.
Bye-bye.